wonder if God got a plan for everyone. I wonder if I could take a second run. 'Cause I carry on getting sad and getting stuck. What I wouldn't give for a life that doesn't suck.
Listen to DL, what he's saying to you. Can you not listen to him? Why you wanna change subject again?
Like I said, we gotta give credit where credit is due. Muhammad is a false prophet, and he's very successful. A guy who nobody should be following can get people to follow him and actually defend him. And to me, that's just like, he's never going to look at Muhammad as something that needs to be researched. He just starts with the idea that Muhammad is true. He's correct. And I know when he reads the Bible, he can clearly see tons of things that Muhammad later came along and contradicted. So what does he do? Instead of looking at things the right, correct way, he tries to find fault with the information that shows that Muhammad is false. And that, my friend, is a successful deceiver. To actually get somebody to believe that he's authentic, even when all of the evidence in front of you shows that he's not. We heard Imami, I think 2 months ago, he said that Zechariah chapter 14 verses 1 through 5 is not going to happen. Think about that. Think about how deceived you have to be to claim that a revelation of God given to a prophet is not going to happen. You have to be deceived to say stuff like that.
I say that it will cause too many deaths. It's written that Israel will be, women will be raped. Half of the city,
and that's exactly what's going to happen. And Islam is not going to change. Islam's not going to change any of that. Everything that God has spoken through the prophets is going to happen. That's why Jesus called you a fool for not believing in everything that was spoken by the prophets. Luke chapter 24, verse 25. He says you are foolish not to believe everything that the prophets have spoken, and you're trying to rewrite, trying to claim the Quran came along and corrected something that it knows nothing about. The Quran doesn't even know what Zechariah is talking about. He doesn't know what Ezekiel's talking about. He doesn't know what John's talking about.
I believe that it knows much better than others.
It doesn't know anything better. It doesn't even know the context in which Gog and Magog was presented as a revelation to the prophets Ezekiel and John.
Okay, my last statement, my point was not finished. I just want to tell you what Quran says about the land. Okay, Quran, yes. Bible that God gave him Nile to Euphrates. But let me show you what Quran says. This is my last. O my people, enter the Holy Land that which God has assigned for you. The Holy Land is only Canaan.
That's Surah Al-Ma'idah 20 and 21?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that verse. Yeah.
Okay, I want to say that he assigned the land of Canaan to him, not to Nile to Euphrates.
Where is the land of Canaan? Where is the land of Canaan mentioned in the Quran?
It's not mentioned, but it is
exactly.
Not Nile to Euphrates. It is
because
not Nile to Euphrates.
Allah doesn't know what Canaan is.
Allah is ignorant.
Bible is 66 different huge books, but Quran is only one book with 66
I know.
6,066
So
verses.
you had a greater. Allah had a greater chance of getting his information correct, and he still got it wrong. Look, Muhammad comes 6 centuries after the time of Jesus, and look at all the stuff that he got wrong about Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God. He's the Son of Man. He's the Son of David. He died by crucifixion. He rose again. He's divine. He's seated at the right hand of the Father. The Quran got all of that wrong, and he had 6 centuries to get it right. You can't trust the Quran.
The Quran is denying it, not just wrong. He's denying it. He's like the Antichrist.
Gog and Magog. The prophet Ezekiel lived 1,000 years before Muhammad, and Muhammad still got Gog and Magog wrong. He doesn't even know the context of Gog and Magog. Brother, open your eyes, man. Open your eyes, man. That's all I gotta say.
Like I was saying before, we have so many brothers and sisters here converted from Islam. At one point they were like Imami, searching, but then God opened their eyes, you know, unless you start asking proper questions and saying, like, just take, if someone comes and claims your father's house and says, this house was mine, but I have inherited from my father. No, it was mine. Exactly what Islam wants to do. Like literally, that's why you have all those books, thousands of years, giving revelation, God giving revelation from one prophet to another, from one writer, like 40 or so authors, and now Allah is stuck with one author which he didn't know how to read to write. And he used scribes which they say, Muhammad, does this sound better? Yeah, that's how Allah revealed that to me. And they realized that Muhammad was a prophet, a fake one, because literally they were making a Quran like Muhammad, even better. So that shows you how Allah was.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's sad when you think about how God is just like showing these guys. Imami literally reads the Bible and can clearly see that Muhammad contradicted these prophets. But what he does, instead of allowing God to rescue him, right, he tries to find a way to slap his hand away. So Imami, you gotta open your eyes, man. That Quran is gonna have your final destination, man, in a place where you don't want to be, man. Salvation is in Christ Jesus, man. There's no other name under heaven given whereby you can be saved. Period. The Quran didn't come to correct anything in the Bible because there's nothing wrong with the Bible.
Yeah, the Quran is like the snake in the garden. It comes in and weaves, it twists a lie. It takes what God said, but it twists it. That's what the snake in the garden did with Eve. That's exactly what the Quran is. It's the snake.
I believe in Quran and Bible. But John, can you tell me your previous
name? Well, you don't. But we've just seen that you don't believe the Bible.
I do believe the Bible.
You don't believe it. And if you do believe it, you're in violation of Surah 2, Ayah 85, believing in part of it and rejecting the other half, which your Allah indicted the Jews for doing. So how could they be indicted for doing it, but then you're justified in doing it? You just got through telling us that what the great prophet Zechariah said is not going to happen. I mean, just think about that. And then you got the temerity to say, I believe the Bible. You don't. You just showed us that you don't. That's pretty scary, man. That's pretty scary because you made him out to be a liar. As a matter of fact, let me read you what Job says, because you're basically claiming that the prophet Zechariah is being unjust. So Job chapter 40, Eov 40, verse 8. Yahweh says, would you really challenge my justice? Would you declare me guilty to justify yourself? That's what you're doing. You're challenging God's justice based off of what he revealed to the prophet Zechariah. Oh, the Quran came along and says it a lot better. But then you're going to tell us it confirms what came before it? As I said, Prophet Isaiah said, whatever God has purposed, whatever he decreed, it's going to happen exactly the way he said it's going to happen. So the only thing you can do is call him a liar. And trying to sugarcoat it and whitewash it with nice flowery words isn't going to help you.
I believe in Quran and Bible. So, you know, I showed you in Hebrew, as I don't make mistake, the same verse as you showed me. Anything that God, you know, in Bible, there are some disagreement too, you know. It's written that any new covenant that God established, the previous ones will be abolished.
No, it doesn't say any covenant. It says the old covenant.
The previous covenant, anything
right.
before.
So what was the previous covenant?
I think my point is that it is possible in the Bible that something be abolished. According to that verse, it is possible.
We don't function. Remember, nobody can abolish the Torah. Nobody can. It's written.
All right.
Let me give you an example. The apostles used the Tanakh to teach prophetic truths to Gentiles. Okay, Paul in Galatians, not in Galatians, but in 2 Corinthians, chapter 8, he actually uses what we would call, and what you guys would call, an abrogated law. Chapter 16 of Exodus, where Yahweh lays out the rules for gathering the manna. But then in Joshua chapter 5, after they entered into the land, right after they brought in the first harvest, the prophet says that the manna stopped and there was never any more manna. It was only a rule or a law that was in effect for 40 years while the children of Israel were wandering in the desert. Chapter 8 of 2 Corinthians, Paul quotes from that passage, chapter 16 of Exodus, verse 18, saying, I'll start at verse 14. He says, at the present time, your surplus is available for their need, so that their abundance may in turn meet your need, in order that there may be equality. As it is written, the person who had much did not have too much, and the person who had little did not have too little. So he quotes straight from the law of gathering manna. So even though that law was only effective for 40 years and was no longer utilized, Paul still taught an ethical principle with it. Nobody can abolish the law. But Jeremiah spoke of a new covenant that was to come. And it's new in a couple of senses. Number one, the first covenant was made with Israel. The new covenant in Jeremiah 31, and 32 is made with both houses of Israel. Verse 32 says, this covenant will not be like the one I made with Moses. Right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to say that Hebrews chapter 8, verse 13, when he called this new, the other one became obsolete. You're trying to claim that when a new covenant comes along, it makes obsolete the one that preceded it. And you're trying to apply that to the Quran to claim that the Quran abrogates the previous scriptures. But it doesn't. The Quran actually teaches Jews and Christians that they have no foundation unless they stand on the Torah and the gospel. And that's what Jews do. That's why they rejected Muhammad as a prophet. They have to. There's no way in the world that guy's a prophet, according to the Tanakh. According to the New Testament, he's definitely not a prophet. He's actually an antichrist and a teacher of a satanic religion because he denied the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 through 23. So it sounds like you're starting off good. You're starting where you need to start off, because Surah 87, ayah 19 and 18 and 19 says that the earliest of Allah's revelations are the books of Abraham and Moses. Now, we don't know what this book of Abraham is, but you definitely need to start off with Moses, okay, and start there. Use it to govern what you believe. You need to filter everything through the Torah, everything through the Tanakh, everything, since you believe Jesus is the Messiah, everything through the New Testament. Then by the time you get to the Quran, you'll realize that Muhammad ain't of the tradition of these prophets and apostles. It's crystal clear that he's not. And that's what's so amazing about Islam. It's easy to show that he's a false prophet. Muhammad is a false prophet. It's a lot harder to prove someone like Joseph Smith is. But anyway, I don't think that you're being honest about what you believe, because you're saying you believe the Quran and the Bible, but we just watched you basically say about a prophet of God that what he received from God is not going to happen, when God flat out told you that whatever I decree, whatever I plan, whatever is according to my purpose is going to happen, and nobody can stop it from happening. And you're telling us Zechariah 14 verses 1 through 5 ain't going to happen. And I really think that, you need to think about that before you go to sleep today. What you're actually saying. You're actually questioning God's justice, as Job chapter 40 verse 8 says. That's a bad place to be in. And I'll land there. In Zechariah chapter 14 verses 1 through 5, is that gonna be fulfilled? Is that gonna happen?
It's going to happen, right? It's not going, but it's
no, I'm asking you. I know it's gonna happen.
No, I say that it's not going. Okay, I will tell you.
Oh, it's not gonna happen.
So it's a false prophecy.
So the prophet lied.
No. Quran. What Quran says, Quran actually corrects the statements. The statements in the Torah are dangerous, even for you.
They're not dangerous. They're only dangerous for unbelievers, like yourself.
I believe in Quran and Bible.
You don't. We've just seen that you don't believe the Bible. You don't. You just showed us that you don't. That's pretty scary, man. That's pretty scary, because you made him out to be a liar.